Episode 4. Here we are.
Here we are.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 4. It's been a little while since our last episode. We've been busy. We've been very busy.
Which is perfect, though, and the perfect segue into exactly what we're going to be talking about today, because it's all about pretty much what we've been doing.
Yes, we've been
very busy,
very creative, and we have been, working on films and traveling and teaching. I mean, you've been doing so much as well. I mean, since we last did an episode, you've been out of the country. Is it once or twice?
I don't know. It's been good. We feel very fortunate to have been able to collaborate so much and to do so many different things with so many different people and so many different groups of people, and even meeting new people in town and coming up with new ideas and things in the future. And it's just felt very collaborative.
It has. And I'm thinking about just the beauty of what this has brought to us. Like I feel very inspired by kind of even people reaching out about this podcast and how being creative and even being a married couple talking kind of freely about being creative, but not only that, just the way we communicate to each other. And I just find that very sweet.
Yeah.
And
thank you guys. I really think that the family aspect of this is so important as well. So, I mean, not that it hasn't been without struggle, like when you do hit those busy seasons in a family, in a relationship. But today we are talking all about collaboration specifically. And so I just think that the timing of everything is so great. And I'm excited to kind of just expound on some of the areas that I did have like a difficult gig recently. And then I've had some really difficult, not meaning not great. It was great, but it was difficult. And it has a lot to do with collaboration. So excited to share some of the difficulties as well as some of those really rich, awesome moments.
For sure. And as Bri mentioned, this whole episode is going to be all about collaboration, which let's just dive right in.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you think are the benefits of collaboration? I have a lot to say about this, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Geez. You know what? I actually feel like I have lone wolfed it a lot in my career in the beginning.
Same.
Right?
Same.
And I feel like it's so funny because I think that I had a harder time understanding and valuing and really seeing the benefit of collaboration. And that's such a prideful, to be totally honest, thing to think. And so sorry if that's you, but you might want to kind of analyze a little bit of and take a deeper look at how come I'm not either A, not good at collaborating, or B, just don't see the value in it. Because I'm telling you, the older I get, the more and more and more I want to collaborate, the more artists I want to be around, the more people I want to experience, the more of their art I want to bring into my life and absorb.
100%.
Yeah.
I've thought about this a lot because the composing world is very competitive, right?
Yeah.
And I think any kind of creative field is very competitive. And that kind of makes you want to kind of huddle down and you're doing your thing, and any kind of advancement that you get in your career, you're kind of okay, cool, that worked. How do I just keep that going? And then it's almost like you get protective of your secrets, your success. And it's so weird. I feel like at this point in my career and even in our marriage, it's just being collaborative is so important. It's almost everything.
It is.
And it's you want to go, what is it? The Steve Jobs thing. You want to go, if you want to go fast, go
alone.
If you want to go far, go
together. And I think we might have even quoted that before.
Yeah, but it's true, right?
Yeah,
it's just so true.
It is true. And maybe us getting a little bit older and having a few projects under our belt by this time, just a few, it's I think we've definitely just grown into that space of collaboration is everything. And so for me, the benefits that I see when it comes to collaboration, it's the list could go on and on and on, but I guess some of the ones that just are forefront in my brain right now is that it just makes your art, it challenges your art, right? So it's you're bringing other people into the mix, and you're kind of having to be challenged with, is my idea the best idea? Should I have a new perspective on this, or should I be looking at this a different way? And so it challenges you.
Yes.
It's very challenging to collaborate. And then as well as there's just this like this beautiful kind of community feel when it comes to like artists getting together. Like I think that there's this like enrichment of your own kind of like, I don't know, you're not in it alone. You know what I mean? And I think you get to a point, especially if you've been lone wolfing it for so long and you're like at this point where you're like, I need a community around me who support you, who get it, you know? And so it challenges you. It's community based. And then also I would just say that because it challenges you, because you're getting all these different perspectives, it's like surprising. The outcome is surprising.
Absolutely.
You're surprised by your own work.
100% every
because
time.
People are breathing different and new life into your work. Right. So that's kind of, those are the benefits that come to mind for me, like right off the bat.
Yeah. I think having been I started in bands, so you're collaborating, right? But then when film scoring kind of happened, you're just by yourself in your studio, and 10 years went by. And then I remember a few years ago when I wanted to start writing music again, like songs, you know, there was a few opportunities to write with other artists. And I remember this one particularly came over, and I literally was like, what do we do? Like, what's the first step? I completely forgot what it was like to just be in a studio with someone else and creating. I remember looking at her and I was just like, what am I doing right now? Even setting up the headphones for her so she could hear herself. I mean, all those little things. I was so focused and everything was tailored just to me. So that was the first time I started realizing, okay, this is, and what we did together that day, I love. And I think that was the first thing, like the benefit that I started realizing was that you get to be pushed further creatively. You almost get encouraged by someone too when something's an idea. Like usually your own echo chamber, you're doing stuff and you have no idea if it's good.
That's
but you
a
get
great way to
instant
put it.
feedback from someone saying, oh, that's awesome, let's go with that.
Right.
Whereas when you're by yourself, you might go down a rabbit hole that you shouldn't go down for a whole day or maybe longer. And so as time has gone on, and then the crazy thing though, at least with me, with film scoring, is you are collaborating. You're collaborating on a film. So so it's not like I wasn't collaborating with anyone. It was just very different when it came to what I was creating, because we were creating a film. So you're dealing with the director, you're dealing with editors and producers, and everyone's kind of weighing in the client, whatever the brand is. And then you have, yourself doing the music. So because you're doing hair and you're working on a show, like you're working with other hairstylists, right? So like you're getting instant feedback directly from a hairstylist. Is that kind of true?
Yes and no. Sometimes there's like a creative director on set, and or the photographer can see something that you can't see, or whatever the case may be. So you are working with like a crew. But I mean, when you're in behind the chair and you're working with a client, you're collaborating with every single client, the model, whoever. And I don't know. It's funny because I was kind of thinking while you were talking, like, do you kind of feel like every once in a while, like your work is almost worse because of a collaboration? Because in my own experience, like maybe the taste, like we just have different tastes, right? Like it's just like you're
that's a whole thing.
You're not really on the same page, or you know what I mean? And I'm just trying to keep it super real. Like collaboration is, like we said, life, and we just want to do it a million times all the time. Like we want to collaborate with as many people as possible. And every once in a while, there's going to be a moment where you're like, I don't love what we came up with.
Yeah.
And this wasn't my vision of what I wanted to do from the beginning. And I remember that happening on photo shoots where I just didn't love the creative director's direction. And in those moments, I've kind of had to find that like silver lining of just like, you know what, like it's all about the relationships today. And even if I don't use these images or they get lost in whatever, I'm just gonna, take advantage of everything I can learn from it, like learn from today. Right. So even in that, the collaborative aspect of it, it's not a loss. Right. Even if it's one of those moments, because I've had those moments.
We all have.
Just to be real.
I think it's a great thing to bring up, because I think that when you're creating and someone's giving you feedback, and it's almost like the destination is clear, like we want to create XYZ, but sometimes it turns out completely different letters, because on that journey, someone's saying, I want it to look like this. And so you're like, okay, let's shift gears and do
Or
that.
if there's too many cooks in the
And
kitchen.
there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. I mean, one of the hardest things is when you're dealing with like a large brand, you have the client. So it could be like Honda or something. Then you have the production that they've hired, and then production hires like someone like me or someone like you to then go in and just do like the creative job.
Right.
But you're kind of you might create something perfect with your production, and then the client comes in and says, no, we want
not on
something
brand.
else. It's not on brand.
Yeah.
Or we need you to shift gears here, or it's not going to clear legal, so you have to like do this, or any number of things. So then you end up kind of creating something that maybe you don't even kind of like, you almost didn't even sign up for, but you're like, whatever, along the way. And this is probably a really great takeaway from collaboration. Even if you are creating something that doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to, the relationships that you are building during that process get stronger and stronger. And even if maybe there's someone that they're the reason why it didn't turn out right, there's always someone on a team that you're going to really connect with and jive with. And then as time goes on, you just keep working together and amazing opportunities kind of come.
And some of those hard jobs are moments to prove yourself.
For sure.
Like I've definitely had that. I remember there was this one at New York Fashion Week, and it was like there was a huge miscommunication, and without going into a lot of details, it was just like kind of like none of the artist's fault. Everybody was just kind of like, oh crap, you know what I mean? Like this thing happened,
Yes.
And then everybody kind of has to figure out how to overcome these specific obstacles. You know what I mean? And as a team and together. And so I don't know. I just kind of feel like sometimes when things blow up or something isn't right or something, like when it's like a really hard project and you're just like, this is like taking every ounce of me to even just want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I think in those moments, there's like a few things that happen. You kind of prove what you're made of. You show your character to everyone around you, and you're the one that they want back at the end of it. And so
especially if you don't complain and you have a good attitude, and no matter what
you can show up in a certain way that you wouldn't.
People know what's going on, right? So people are watching you. They're seeing like, okay, this person is conducting themselves well, this person is not, and then that's what really helps you moving forward, that you kind of can opportunity to gain respect or to or to grow yourself. I mean, really it comes down. I remember you, if I'm thinking of the exact situation you're talking about, you really chose to, I'm just going to work hard. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to serve everyone around me. I'm not going to make a big deal out of this. Let's go. Kind of like, put your gloves on, like get to work kind of thing.
Yeah, pull your bootstraps up or
pull
whatever.
Your bootstraps. That was the thing I was trying to say.
But
put your gloves on and get to work.
With hair, that was appropriate,
Put those rubber gloves on and get to work.
Ew. But
no, you put the rubber gloves on. Those black rubber. What are you talking about? Ew. You're the one who puts them all the time. The black ones. Ew,
it's just
don't give me the ew.
I'm just,
That's so funny.
We come here.
Not the doctor gloves, not the doctor latex gloves.
I know, that's what I was picturing. Anyway.
Where's your head at?
But I don't know, where should it be at? What's our next, you know what? You're totally right. And you are thinking about the exact moment. But,
I can think of times in my career too, where something happens to where you're completely off what you thought, like off course, and you're being told that you have to do something like what you did was kind of not working out, or in this situation, someone is telling me this didn't work out, you have to try something else. And so you're like restarting everything. So I guess it's a little different than that situation, but
sure.
Here's like my kind of like the friction of that collaborative environment. In my situation, I just decided to like listen, to recreate, and I'm not talking about maybe the most recent one that you might be thinking of. This has happened again and again, where it's like, this just isn't it. Like we need to change course, and we need to, this is what we're trying to achieve. And so you have to really listen. You have to really pay attention, so that when you actually are creating, let's say a next draft or something like that, like you're nailing it. And so, but internally, you're like, no, like what I created was perfect. Like why on earth am I having to rewrite this? And then you rewrite it, and then you see, wait a second, I think they were kind of right. And you kind of can listen. You have to swallow your pride so much with collaboration.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost the first thing you have to learn. You have to swallow your pride. You have to listen, and you have to, because you're both trying to achieve the same goal in the end, you know?
Totally. And I think that it's just kind of like makes you so much more well-rounded, like in your own art, because you are having to course correct. You are having to go off of like what you initially thought was going to be the thing, or, you know, how it looks or the outcome or whatever. And because you're going off of that, you basically have to change, right? You have to change. And change is hard. Change is hard for people. Change is hard for artists. But the thing is if you're not changing as an artist, if you're not adapting and you're not adopting new things into your art, you are dying. You know what I mean? As an artist, for sure. So if you're not changing as a person, if you're not growing, right? You're just slowly dying. Like that's kind of the opposite of that, right? So I feel like collaboration is an opportunity, whether it goes your way or not, right? Honestly, it's like, it's always an opportunity for change, and change within yourself and change within your art and growth in one way or another. And that is crucial.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. Every collaboration is a chance to grow. Maybe that's like the best mindset to have. Whether you get your way or not, it's not even about that.
Right.
It's mainly an opportunity to grow. That's like, I'm going to kind of take that from now on.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, well done.
Glad.
Well done.
Happy to impart. But I
thank you. That was horrible.
I don't know. I feel like I have this like frustration inside me all the time that has to come out. Like, and artistically, that's usually where it lives, somewhere in that like artist part of myself, which is like, it's either boredom, you know, like it manifests in different ways. It's either I'm bored, I'm uninspired, I haven't changed or done anything in a while. And the easiest and best way to get yourself out of that rut and like into something else is to call someone up and be like, hey, let's do this, or hey, let's do that, or hey, what are you up to? Like, do you want to? Like, you just need other human beings around you. You need like that different like energy that they like have, you know what I mean? That their soul is made to like impart into this world, and you have your own things. And then when it comes together, it's almost like you have this new little baby, this little art baby that you can do different things with, right? And there's different people for different things. You have different people all around you that are gifted and talented in so many different ways. So it's like honoring people and like seeing them and seeing what's in them and trying to like not use it or capitalize on it, but like find out how we can like take both of those things inside of us, plant them in the ground in the right kind of soil, and like see what comes out of it, because it's going to be a surprise. You know what I mean? Like it's like the best way to get yourself out of that rut.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Giving someone a call, just putting yourself out there. Let's just create something. It's so different. I feel like that right there is something that I find myself doing when it's just keeping or maintaining that creative soul.
Sure.
Because it's so easily lost with life and everything. And so even before you can do the paid jobs and all that kind of stuff, it's like you need to be kind of an artist, or believe you're an artist, or believe you have something to contribute. And so I think the best way to keep that alive, and this is kind of the perfect segue, is like, how do you keep that kind of creative artist alive so that when you do collaborate, you're like ready to go? But maybe the best thing is, what do you do when you don't even feel alive as an artist?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's why this is such a good idea to just, you know, you always call someone, you reach out, let's just do something to be artists. And I feel like it's weird. I feel like it was so easy to do in our 20s, because you can just call anyone listening that's in your 20s, call whoever and just create, because it's so easy. People aren't necessarily, they're in a stage of life where that's what they're down to do. They don't have families or whatever, significant others or children.
Or maybe not a big mortgage where they have to take on
or not like
bunch of work that you
the
don't want
ability to do free work. I mean, gosh, I'm totally where I'm at, for, you know, because of all those years of just doing free work, just being creative. Like, hey, I'm a filmmaker. I would love to work with a composer. I like your sound. Would you score my film? And I'm like, yeah. And I would think about it. I spent like a month staying up till 2 a.m. I would put in 80 hours a week working on something for free.
Yeah.
And
for
the
sure.
only, but you create that relationship, and then that relationship would turn into something down the road that, eventually might have turned into work and money and stuff like that. But it's like, it's so important to believe you can do this job, believe that you're an artist, and to like have that inspiration to be an artist. I don't know. Like, I feel like now that we're where we're at in our 30s, it's so much more difficult to maintain, because then there's all these other things in life that are coming at you. And in our case, we have a family. In our case, we have a mortgage. In our case, we have tuition and all kinds of stuff, which make us and fill up our life with different things. So, when we're trying to collaborate, even right now, we're totally in a season, being in a new state, new area, making new relationships. It's like, I think more than ever, I've been more open to collaboration, and I know you are too. It's just, the bare bones of who we are as artists is to just collaborate, get out there and do the thing.
Yeah. It's so much of what I have now, I like really owe to my 20 some odd, my early 20 self
For sure.
that did so much work for free.
Yep.
Because I was crushing it in the salon, right? I had all these clients.
Just crushing it.
But I was doing okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I was making, you can make what a doctor and lawyer makes behind the chair. It's crazy, but you are killing yourself for sure, your body. And then sometimes you're killing yourself mentally, because sometimes you just get stuck in a rut and you're doing the same thing over or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't do any more of the same trend. It's going to kill you. You know what I mean? Like you
have to do another full head volley out. Just kidding.
okay. But yeah, it is one of those things where you're like, is this a slow death? Like, what is going on? Even if you're making money, it doesn't feel fulfilling all the time. And so I had to break out of that and do a ton of free work.
I remember that moment.
I took a huge pay cut.
Yes.
I started, there was a magazine that was going around, and it was Thrifty Hunter. And I remember doing.
Shout out Thrifty Hunter magazine.
I know.
That was
R&P. I love that magazine. It's not around anymore. But it was so epic.
It was
and
a launch point for a lot of people.
It was. And we did a lot of celebrity and stuff, and it was all for free. It was just like, let's get together and let's like crush this, like these looks, and everybody was able to express themselves creatively. I loved the other artists I was working with. Everybody was talented. Like,
Right.
and we were working on some of like the top coolest, people that
There was great
we could
people.
work on.
You made some
and
lifelong relationships from that.
I've made some, yes, my best friend I met there. And so it's one of those things where it's like, that's so worth it. That is so worth it. 1,000 times over, it's worth it to just do free stuff. And now we have to work harder for it. Yeah. I mean, we're in a new town, like whatever. We have bills, we got kids, we got all this stuff. And we have to like allocate time to collaborate. We have to do stuff for less money probably, or no money, and just like jump in the deep end with people we've never met. And you got to make yourself uncomfortable. You got to get really comfortable being uncomfortable when everything is new around you. But that is where you experience the most change and the most growth.
Yes. I think that we're in a place right now where we have to find that like passion. We have to maintain. It's not find. We have it. We have that passion to be artists. We want to constantly create. It's in us. It's in our DNA. But there's such a like stewardship or something. What's the right word? There's just something that you have to feed. You have to feed it.
Yeah, feed the
and
beast.
You have to feed the beast. And starting like Rex Pollen. I mean, that feels so. I mean, it's free. You're just creating music for the sake of creating music.
Right.
I mean, I'm doing that because it's just a part of me. But there's definitely no guarantee that anything will come from that. But there are relationships that have started coming just from doing that, just from writing songs, and just from having something to show someone when you're having a chat over a beer or something like that. And then you're like, you leave that chat and well, here's the song I was telling you about. And they're like, dude, that song is awesome. Keep going. And then all of a sudden you feel like, oh, and the next thing you know, you're collaborating on something.
Right.
And it's almost like it always has, the seed of it is always just a pure thing. It doesn't even revolve around money necessarily. It's just being an artist. It's just creating that thing, whatever it is. And somehow it just turns into something if you keep doing it.
Yeah.
But it's almost like the entrance or the fee or whatever the ticket price is risk, no cash.
Yeah.
And just doing something for the purity of it. And that's why, like, when you did Thrifty Hunter, it opened up so many doors because you were just doing hair and you were doing creative hair. I remember that one time, I think the first job you might have done for them or something, you were putting cardboard in someone's hair and you were like creating this awesome thing. And you would never get the chance to do that in the salon. You were just doing typical Santa Clarita hair at the time, whatever was the hot hairstyle at that time.
Right, for sure.
And so for me, even with film scoring, it became monotonous. It was just like a job. You're like, all I'm doing is this job. And I lost my artist, like who I am as an artist. I really did. And that's why, starting to write music again and all that stuff is really,
and collaborate with a producer.
And collaborate with producers and all of that. It's really just me fighting to, I don't know, maintain that heart or to remember why I even got in this in the first place.
Yeah. It's a scary thing. Like, I think that there's so many moments in our life where we find ourselves again and again and again, right? Like, it's kind of like, it's like when you're getting older, when you're younger, you're like, who am I? Who am I? I need to find myself. Who am I? What is my art? What is my, like, I don't know, my look, my, stamp on this world or whatever. What's my calling, when you're young. And then it's like, as you're in it and you're like going through this journey in your art, you kind of get to these different places where you're like, okay, maybe that was it, or was that it? Or, and now who am I? Or wait, it has to evolve. It like has to change, because as you get older, it's not like there's just like one answer,
Right.
Like, and it's not like as artists that we can just do one thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like my medium is hair. Yours is like instruments. Right. And it's like somebody that just picks up a camera, they could have maybe just picked up a paintbrush. Like there's so many different ways that you can express yourself creatively. And I think that it's really important, like no matter what kind of art you're doing or no matter what kind of field you're in, that you regularly, if you're doing it as a career, if you're doing it as your job, that you regularly ask yourself, if money wasn't involved,
would I be doing this?
Would I be doing this?
Yeah.
And what would I be doing?
Yeah.
Like, what would I be doing with my art if money wasn't involved?
That's a great question.
And a lot of times, I don't think you'd just be like lone wolfing it all the time. Like, I think that usually it's like you want to create an impact. You want to leave a legacy. You want to have something that lives on after you die, right? That doesn't happen if it's all about you, or if it's just your art, or if it's just your eye and, oh, I'm so good, or, the prestige of it all. And, like if you're the only one involved in that scenario, like it dies with you.
Yes.
Kind of, right? I mean, so I think that collaboration is also like a way to like have that ripple effect. It's like you drop something in a pond that other people take and make it bigger, bigger, bigger,
right?
And other people make it higher, higher, higher. Like it takes a whole army,
right?
Of people
and
of collaboration.
Even in like a lone wolf career where like a hairstylist could be at a solo salon.
Totally.
Or or film composer could just be alone in a studio. Mm-hmm. You're still not getting anywhere without people.
Exactly.
No one's just creating in a vacuum. You have clients coming in, walking in, you're getting fed somehow by like the stories of people in your solo salon or whatever. And then the composer is still working with people and all that stuff. It's like really the backbone of, honestly, everything. I mean, collaboration. We could even go into collaboration with relationships, even in marriage. I mean, how often we collaborate just to raise our children or get through the day or go grocery shopping and have what we need.
We should take them through what a typical day looks like in the Cisneros house, because everyone's like, one of the questions I get asked the most is, how do you make all of the things happen? You know what I mean? And I'm literally like, well, we don't have a plan. Yeah. And each day is different.
Step 1, don't have a plan. Step 2, keep that plan.
Stick to the plan.
Yeah. I mean, maybe this last month was a perfect month to look at because you took off on a few trips.
Yeah.
I had a film come in, a documentary I've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
And in the strangest way, I feel like you're never gone when I'm needing to work around the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. Like if you're gone, it's, or, and
somehow
and
it
if I'm
usually
working
lines
around
up.
the clock, you're totally like available all day to just make things happen. So, we also just finished school, so let's go from like the month of June. What was our month of June like? I think the kids were still in school. We had to get them up, get them to class.
Yeah, we
And
kind
then-
of both do the whole like one of them's feeding them breakfast, one of
Yes.
them's getting them dressed.
Yes.
One of us is got the backpacks loaded and one of us is warming up the car. And it's unspoken. It's like this beautiful dance that we do that I don't even know how it gets done. But it's like we are both all hands on deck. We know what needs done.
Yes.
And then after that, if we have a sitter that day, right? Let's not even talk about if we
It's a
don't have
big
somebody
if.
for the
Yeah,
baby.
If we don't have anyone, what did we usually do?
If we didn't have anybody, it was like we'd sit down for coffee, we'd talk about what we need to get done that day, and we would have to plan around like his naps and then also just split the day in half and say, okay.
Yeah. I would take
also-
a morning shift usually like 8 to 12.
And then I'd be like 12 to 4.
Yep.
And then we would be like, whoever has more work to do that day can get in their 8 hours after that or after the kids get home or whatever.
Right.
And so, or we would kind of always prioritize together. We'd be like, what's your day look like? What's your day look like? Okay, these are all the things I need to get done.
Right.
These are all the things you need to get done. And then we find a way to figure that out every single day.
I know.
Every
and it's
day.
always different too.
Even today, we went out for coffee. We were like, what do we need to do? We're like, oh my God, hello, we have time to do the podcast finally.
Let's do it.
Let's jump in.
Kids are going to be gone at
Right.
this time. We have the house to ourselves.
You just
And-
uploaded a score. He just got a score into Matt, our mixer. And then,
Yeah,
so
I finished last night
so
at like
that's getting
1:30
done.
last night in the morning.
while we're doing this,
Yeah.
our kids are at a pool right now. They're
Yeah.
playing, somebody grabbed him, took him to the pool. We're like, sweet, let's do a podcast.
Just someone random.
Some random
you know,
person.
just random person. We gave them the car seat somehow. We were just like, here, take them, please.
Thank you, Annie. But it is one of
Thank
those
you,
things. It is one of those things where there's never an easy answer. There's not one right answer, but there's always a way. Where there is a will, there is a way,
There is.
and there is time in the day.
I want to talk about this too, because then our situation is a little different because then you would go on a trip. I think early June you took off for like a couple days. You had to go
sure.
somewhere. I don't even remember.
Germany.
In June? No. that
Oh,
was in
just
June.
the couple day trip.
I'm just
I
talking
was
about
in
June.
Alabama, Huntsville.
We went to Huntsville, Alabama.
To teach a
So
class.
she went to Huntsville, Alabama, which means I had the kids, I think, over the weekend. Honestly, I think I had the kids just like
3 days.
Sunday. And then we had Annie during the day on Monday. So Monday I'd be working. And so the film came in, and luckily, this is, again, collaboration or just help. I mean, it's like you have this help. You need to have a team around you sort of to just pull this thing off. But then I would work during the day, and then I'd basically be on kid duty all night. And for maybe 2 nights or something like that, then you're back. And then next thing you know, like I have time to just crank on this film. And you're kind of back, just kind of resting with the kids and enjoying that time.
Yeah. And it just so happens that to be that way. Like it's like a game of, I don't know, like you're just throwing the ball back and forth. You know what I mean? And I'm either on the ball or you're on the ball, whether that be the kids or work.
Is it really
You
just
know.
like catch where sometimes you even drop the ball?
And
pick it up
sometimes you
keep
drop the
throwing?
ball. You
Yeah.
straight up just drop the ball and you're like,
To use that
I'm
analogy.
I'm sorry. And you know what?
Yeah.
When the ball is dropped and in a collaborative situation in marriage and with your family, because it's not just us, like the kids are there, right?
Yeah.
So we've got little ones, and our oldest is 9, and she is not to be messed with. Like this girl knows what's up. Like she keeps
sure
us.
does.
She's drinking. No, she keeps us in check. For sure, in the best way possible, because she's so honest with us about her emotional state. And so that's what I do as a mom. I check in. If I'm gone, especially like when I went to Europe and I was gone, it like takes a long time to fly there and fly back. So even if it's a 2-day shoot, you've got more days tacked on for travel and all that. So it if I'm gone a long time, I'm always checking in with their just emotional state. Like, how are each of you doing?
Yeah.
Like, how can I be a mom and parent even from a distance, FaceTime at bedtimes, do different things that I can do the most that I can do as a mom, regardless of where I'm at and what I'm doing. But also just like, is everybody okay? And if we're not, then work gets put on the back burner because kids don't. Family doesn't.
That's one thing that I think we've always kept at the forefront of everything we do. It's
And we
our
drop the
family,
ball,
our marriage, everything is number one.
Has to
And
be.
so everything is circulated around that. Everything is done for that. If you're taking off, it's okay. Like, I'm stepping up. I'm helping with the kids. I'm there. I'm always going to be there. And it's like vice versa.
And this took us a while. This took us a while.
That did. Well, you kind of have to learn how to, it's not every day like, one of the spouses is just taken off, you know, and especially if, there's babies and young ones. I mean, it's just a lot more work.
Sure.
So, one side could be a little bit more like, hey, I'm working a lot. And then the other side's like, I'm traveling a lot. And the other side's just like, I'm tired. And the other side's like, I'm tired. And then, everyone's going through something together. And so if you're just, the mindset is like, we're in this together and our priorities is each other and our babies. Mm-hmm. And you just kind of make decisions that'll just better that. And I feel like that has really kept us going forward throughout our careers, because creative careers are different. It's not a 9 to 5.
My gosh.
It's like sometimes I'm like, man, it'd be nice if I just did a 9 to 5, but then I'm like,
nah.
Personally, I'm like, nah. I respect the 9 to 5 for sure.
I do too.
But
I just don't know if
it's just not. I don't think I was built for that. I'm more of like a midnight to midnight kind of working person. But yeah, I love how we balance everything. I love how you can take off. I can take off. We always know our family is going to be okay. We always know our marriage is going to be strengthened. And then another thing we do is we like really prioritize like connecting and hanging out, going on dates, doing all that stuff. Like, cause we have to be really strong to even make everything work.
If there's even a little bit of like disconnection, like if I feel like one of the circuits is cut or something is not flowing, to bring it into your technical world of
nice
audio
circuits,
flow of energy, but
signal flow.
If our signal flow is off, like I have to get to the bottom of it, and so do you. And it's like, and if one of us doesn't want to get to the bottom of it, like, look, it's like very human.
Well, we always want to get to the bottom of it.
Well, no, but I mean, if it's just like someone's having a hard time, like the other person has to step in. Like in relationships, you always hear people say it's never 50-50. It's always like 80-20. It's always like 60-40.
Yeah, what's that one thing
like,
that got sent around for a while? That one woman was speaking about like marriage is never 50-50. Today,
but it isn't.
I feel 20.
Yeah.
So you have to be 80.
Which is true.
And then it's really true.
Really true. And
I mean, it's true.
And that's where I want to bring up, like, it's not like, oh, we've got this all figured out. It's like, I still have moments where I'm 20, or I have moments where I've got all this energy and I can tell you're depleted and that you've been working around the clock and daddy needs a minute. And like I obviously am the one for the job. Like, so I think that no matter what, it's not a comparison game. And I know a lot of couples that can get stuck.
That's the biggest thing.
Couples get stuck in this comparison game of like, well, you've just been home all day with the kids. What have you been doing? Or, or whatever. Like those types of situations are really dangerous in a marriage and in a relationship.
100%.
It is like, there's no I in team, guys. And it's true. Like it couldn't be more true for a family unit.
If you're trying to get even, like you just can't get even.
You'll never be even.
I got to sleep in because yesterday you woke up at 5. Like so, vice versa today. It's like that's a joke. Come on, like that's so petty. Mm-hmm. You just like don't play those games.
Yeah.
And I feel like naturally, like we'll just balance each other out because it's like there will be times I'm like I literally can't wake up right now. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, I got this.
Yeah,
and vice versa.
You have to stretch yourself.
Yes.
And And I think both of us in a collaborative, and this is actually a great segue into just like bringing it back to everything and like working with artists, working together, working as a family unit. Like in collaboration, you have to stretch yourself.
Yes.
Which if you're stretching, you're obviously growing, you're obviously changing. Those are my big things. And
you have to be selfless. You really do.
You have to die to yourself.
You have to die to yourself. I mean, really,
Yep.
that's...
You have to kill off ideas that you loved because it
Kill
wasn't on brand.
Kill your darlings, they always say.
Yeah, it's like...
a great statement. It's like, this is my darling idea.
Yeah.
And then you have to let it
go. I know.
I mean, as much as collaboration is like that, I mean, marriage is like that, relationships are like that.
Right.
But I can attest to this. How many years deep are we? 12, 13?
We're like...
I don't even know. We're almost a teenager. I think we're at 12.
Married enough to forget how long we've been married.
I know. But the more you die to self, the greater things get.
Yeah.
And then you have experience after experience that starts to build under it all. And all of a sudden, there's just this beautiful life we've built. And we're still going and we're still building it. And it's getting better. How much better is life right now than it was 10 years ago?
Yeah,
seriously.
For sure.
We didn't even have a kid 10 years ago.
Yeah, so grateful.
And it's just like life is so full. Life is so beautiful. I'm writing a song about it, actually. The next song I'm going to be releasing is about literally my kids.
Yeah.
And like those moments, I mean, listener, you have to know those moments where it's like sunset and it's warm outside and there's just like this joy surrounding you. And you're like, maybe you're at the beach, or in this case, recently, you're just playing like baseball outside and it was like a warm rain started coming and you're just like, those moments, where everyone's smiling and everyone's just hanging out. Bree's there with my babies and we're all just kind of hanging out. I mean, that makes it all so worth it, you know? And like knowing that, and okay, just to bring it back to collaboration, it's like kind of the same way. You die to self, you create that new draft, or you listen to someone's critique on you for hair or something like that. And you're in the middle of fashion week or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden, whatever the result is like good. And you're like, wow, we did that. This is actually better than if it was just my original vision.
Right.
Your vision, my vision, all together made this great thing, this great project, and this great outcome.
Right.
And that's why it's always worth it.
Yes.
Always worth it.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like, some of my favorite moments is when it's all in one, when it's all involved. It's like we've got our friends on deck that we're working with. We've got me and you. Like I remember we produced like a shoot together, and we like both directed, produced. You wrote the music, I did the hair. Like multiple shoots for Renegade Royals.
Couple. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the first
and maybe we'll
one,
do a third one coming up.
I know, hint. But honestly, like. That first one that we did together, I felt like there was and the second awesome too, but I just felt like there was something so special in the air. Like it was like everybody was like in something together, working towards something that everybody believed in, knew was going to be like great to just be out there, like this education platform.
Right.
And then, but on top of that is like our kids kind of were there. Like everybody came in at the end. We were working with friends and we got to work together so closely. And I just think that, just kind of final thought from me is just like the more that you involve other people, open yourself up to other people, open your art up to other people, and just kind of like link arms and everybody plants their seed in the ground. You know what I mean? All these different seeds. Imagine like everyone has their own little unique seed that they're planting in the ground, all within the same little area, right? And you have this huge, beautiful garden of color and shape and texture and all the contrast of all of those different things. And when the light comes in and hits it and it feels warm and wonderful and everything's so joyful at the end, that's what collaboration is. It's like, and you couldn't contrast your color and your texture unless it was up against somebody else's.
Yeah.
Like you need that.
That's amazing.
You need that.
It's like a meadow. Collaboration is a meadow.
A garden, a secret garden.
There's a lyric for you.
Anyway, that was really fun.
That was great.
And thank you so much for being my life collaborator. I'm going to just start calling you that now. Like, who is this? Oh, my life collaborator?
Yeah. Collaborate in all things.
That's basically exactly what we do. And I'm so grateful to have you as a collaborator. And thank you, everybody who's listening. You guys are amazing.
Yes.
We really enjoy this. So thank you. Thank you
Yes.
that we get to do this with you.
Yes. And make sure you're collaborating constantly. Don't stop collaborating. Okay.
Promise.
Until the next one. Bye.